Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, it's that thing that we're looking for, which is always just out of reach. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals, and we pick their brain about state of the industry, current projects, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and conversational fashion. And if you like how we do things around here, and I'm assuming you do, you're listening to us right now, you can subscribe to the podcast. You can find us over at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify. It's all good. And plus, if you can give us a like and subscribe over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, where we archive every single one of our episodes, that would be really appreciated as well. Also, you can follow us on the social media, as the kids call it. You can find us over at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of fun updates. And plus, we're on TikTok, but that's basically for the hell of it. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, it's where it all began. Please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest movie news, reviews from basically cinema all across the globe. And we've got a bunch of festivals coming up, like TIFF, where we're going to be pumping it out, like it's going out of style. We see as much as we possibly can at things like TIFF, and we love it when you come read about it, and because we love it when we write about it, and we love just forwarding the talk, the general conversation on cinema like we're doing today. And that's a good segue into today's guest, because movies, when they come out initially, they don't always get the love that they deserve. People don't necessarily understand them, or they get misinterpreted, or bad marketing, or there's always a wide variety of reasons. But we're actually dialing it back to the year 2015, and we're talking about the film Welcome to Happiness, because their director's cut of the film is actually going to be available today on VOD platforms out there like iTunes and Google Play and YouTube and all that other sort of fun stuff. It's a film that is steps away from the norm, but it's really trying to give us sort of a general sense of redemption and happiness, and understanding that it's okay to be happy with what you got, because sometimes those moments of aspiration tend to bite you in the butt and end up causing you a lot of emotional grief. And this is a film that, well, to be quite frank, it got panned on release, but I think that was pretty undeserved, because it's a fun, quirky little film with a loaded cast with the likes of Keegan-Michael Key, Nick Offerman, and like Olivia Thirlby, Paget Brewster, and it's just a really captivating, quirky comedy that will make you feel good at the end of it. And we had the distinct pleasure of sitting down with not only writer-director Oliver Thompson to talk about the film and sort of talk about its initial reaction, but how people have responded to it later on. We also got to sit down with star Brendan Sexton III about his experiences on the film, and just how it is it's kind of held up as one of those ones that, they love, but not everyone loves, but, it's getting a second life now, and I do recommend that you check it out. But first, enjoy our talk with Oliver and Brendan, because, you know what, it's a good one. I enjoyed the hell out of this one. Now, I mean, I guess congratulations on the film, man. I loved it. Honestly, I think you were 6 years early. That's awesome. It's like having something happy and kind of joyful, but still dealing with real stuff, feels very relevant and something that people would like right now. And
that's great.
I'm curious, walk me through the initial inspiration for the story, Oliver.
The original inspiration for the story, the best thing I've been able to remember is a conversation with me and our producer Bader. Is I remember we had just completed shooting a short film, and we were kind of sitting there tired in a sea of gear, just not ready to get back to work to clean everything up. And we just started talking, and we started talking about the TV show Lost. And then I remember thinking, I said something to the effect of, like, what if you had all the like magic and intrigue and mystery and coolness of Lost, but instead of like this big crazy island, it was just like some dude's apartment, and just kind of went from there. Like we just kept talking and talking, you know, and next thing you know, here we are.
Brendan, what did you think when you first read the script? Because I mean, especially your character, you're running pretty much the gamut of emotions in this one for all the characters.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's kind of an actor's dream, and I looked at my characters like instead of the comedic relief, he's the dramatic relief.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he sort of like brings it down back to earth and gives it like an emotional context or premise or reasoning for this film to happen. But I really just, I know this is maybe like a bit, but it's not. I mean this genuinely. Like I was hooked from page one, from the opening scene of the film, and I was just hooked and had to do it and had to meet this Oliver Thompson guy, and that's how I got involved.
And I mean, I love the idea just that the film really puts out there, because I mean, in many ways, we're all, you know, searching and exploring for our own happiness, but we're always trying to manufacture it. And the reality is you can't. And I'm kind of curious, just from in terms of visualizing that and emotionalizing that, like how did you sort of come up with the idea of the door and just sort of even just having, you know, the idea of the apartment? Because it's like everything happens in a very sort of organic way, but still a very, you know, I guess indie film way, budget way at the same time.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's a really good point. Like we had budget constraints, so even if we wanted to do a magical island like a Lost, we couldn't, right? So that was the whole thing, is like, how do we take it into the most, you know, boring place imaginable and then still make that cool? So instead of going out into the jungle and then finding this hatch in the ground, it's like, well, maybe you venture into the closet and there's a little hobbit door, you know, just like all these little things. How do you kind of, you know, I'm not trying to like harp too much on the Lost thing. I mean, there were other influences and stuff, but I just remember that was a big part of the initial conversation. It's like there was that connectivity.
Yeah.
It's a hard word to say in the morning, to all the characters in that show and every, you know, and so we were just kind of like, that was definitely a big influence. And so I think that, but like to your point, you know, we couldn't go and shoot in Oahu even if we wanted to. So it's just, you look at what you do have and go, okay, how can we make this cool? And which
is kind of what the movie's about. You look at what you have and how do I make this cool? How do I make this life worth living?
Yeah, cool.
Now, I mean, I'm curious on both your perspectives on this, because like, how precious were you to the words on the page? Because just in watching it, it really felt like an environment where you were letting actors play and sort of try different stuff. Or was it very much say the words, get the dialogue across and keep going?
Well, that's a good definitely question.
Yeah, you go, Brendan.
No, I actually don't know the answer to this question, so I'm intrigued as to
how
you remember it.
I want to hear how you remember it, like from your perspective, your point of view. Do you remember? Like, I feel like there was moments. I will say, I'm glad it feels playful, and I'm glad it feels, you know, kind of free in that way. In reality, I think people stuck pretty close to the page, like Michael Key, his big long ranting monologue he has with Brendan, where he's going on and on. I mean, it's like every comma is perfect. He just nailed exactly as written. I think Brendan was pretty on, like, I think you changed one word in your big, huge, dramatic monologue to change a tense thing, which ended up being really powerful. I had written his big monologue in like in past tense. You were talking about something that happened to you, and then you just took it and you made it, you know, I guess present tense, right? Like, yes. And it just felt much more in the moment. So like there were little things like that, but no, mostly it was people were pretty on book.
Yes, I'm not an on book kind of actor, to be honest, which annoys playwrights, but but this was one of those things where you wanted to honor the text on the page. And so it was, except for that one instance where I remember what you're talking about. And it's the one instance that stands out to me. I changed it to present tense. I don't remember it exactly, but I do remember doing that. And it sort of helped convey that Niles, my character, was still haunted by this thing, that it was an ongoing haunting as opposed to a past haunting kind of thing.
The one
that he
relationship,
was still reliving it and seeing it and watching it. Kind of thing, if I remember correctly.
No, it was perfect. And I can remember your, scene partners in that scene, like pulling me aside and actually being like, how awesome is it that he's doing that? Just so you know, I don't think I've ever told you that, but Robert Pike Daniel, he was like, that just made that so much more powerful. The one relationship that was playful was Kyle Gallner and Olivia Thirlby, like Woody and Trudy. Maybe you're seeing some of that there. They kind of just go.
That makes sense.
Just go flirt and we'll roll the camera, kind of a thing.
That makes sense.
But with a framework, of course. But so there was some improv there, but mostly people were pretty tight to the script.
No, I mean, I guess, Oliver, was this a traditional casting process, or was this a question of you calling in as many favors as you possibly could to?
It was
involved.
It was both. We have such a large, incredible, amazing cast. So there was both of those things. There was Brendan was very traditional. Josh Brenner was very traditional. But then other people like Paget and Keegan and Nick Offerman were more like someone who was already involved, knew them, knew that I really wanted them, and then said, "Oh, I can send him a text and tell him to keep a lookout for it." So there was both.
Now I'm curious because, and I mean, I joked about it a little earlier, but obviously the critical reception wasn't that kind when this initially came out. But I'm kind of curious because it's like, I mean, I am a film critic, but I do at least make an effort not to be a cynical prick. How do you sort of process that? Because I mean, in essence, you're putting something pretty happy out there into the universe, and it's going, no, fuck happy.
Right. Yeah. That's a good question. It's a question I've never been asked. So, give me a second to think about that.
Last year, I wouldn't have asked you. Like 6 years is a good period.
Yeah, of course. I think, it was certainly a bummer that the sort of like the critical reception wasn't so super hot. But I think that the thing that always, I guess, like tempered that for me were these first person encounters I had with people, either at a screening or they would just find me on email or even Facebook or whatever, with such, I mean, some of the things people have said, man, I can't even. I had a woman, I've never said this either. And obviously I'm not going to say any name, but a complete stranger emailed me, and she was talking about how much this movie helped her deal with her life. And this is a quote, even the murder of my sister. And that's a heavy thing to hear someone say. And that's probably the heaviest I can remember in a long list of similar things. I know Brendan has a story with some friends who say this movie helped them keep their relationship together. You were just telling us the other day, Brendan, and there's so many people that they just get it. It's like they get what we were doing and they love it. And I think that always made me a lot happier than, just needing like the press or whatever to get it. It's like it was. I've heard the stories from the people that do like it. So as long as someone likes it, like, what can you do? You just make your thing, and people react how they're going to react. I have no control over that part of it. So
the people that the film resonates with, it resonates with profoundly.
Correct. Yeah,
the impact
I think
is deep with them.
Yeah.
So it's worth it for that.
Absolutely. And I think I realized in that process that without trying, or we did end up making a a very polarizing movie. It's you really love it or you really hate it. There aren't a lot of lukewarm feelings about the movie. It's just, and that's cool. Like, I think that's, that's a sign that you at least did something. Like, that was at least a bold, attempt at something, even if at times you fell on your face or whatever.
For both of you, is that the creative payoff at the end of the day, no matter what you're working on? Because, I mean, obviously, when you're in the moment, you don't know if it's going to work or if it's not going to work. Is it that sort of that 1 out of 10 person in the room that goes, okay, that guy got it? That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. And I don't think that while you're in the creative process, you're thinking that at all. At least I'm not. I can't speak for you, Brendan, but like, and when you're making it, you're just making it. And I think just trying to like get through the day, really, not even thinking about what it will be when it comes out. But I guess then in hindsight, that's the way to look at it is as long as it touched someone seemed to get it. That is so rewarding. It's so rewarding and so humbling when someone says that they liked this movie. I can't stress that enough, that I never get used to that. I am so humbled by that and appreciative and grateful that, that's all I care about. I mean, that makes up for 50,000 bad reviews that could get one person telling me that it was so meaningful to them. Man, that's the best news. That's the best thing you could ever say. I'm happy. The movie found its audience, even if it's tiny.
I agree. I think it's humbling, and it's really humbling to know that you have that kind of, or have the potential to have that kind of impact on someone's life. And that really is what it's
and
about.
You never expect that, you
Absolutely
never
not. It's
ever
always
expect
out
that.
of left field. It's always out of left field. And
Now, Oliver, I gotta ask you this. Sorry, Brandon, I didn't mean to cut you off. Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Oliver, I gotta ask you something, because I mean, I was going through your IMDb. Like, how do you go from this to being a writer on a Sniper sequel? It doesn't.
It's such a departure. It's so
different. It doesn't feel like a straight line.
It's not a straight line. No. I think, it's a matter of a couple things. Like, let's be honest, like at the end of the day, wanting to work, you know what I mean? And I want to make movies. I'm not above or below any movie, any genre, any, budget level, so, it's just, it was an opportunity, and, I was approached. I love action movies. I love snipers in general. It seems, like the funnest thing in the world, and it was. And we're gonna, hopefully keep making more of them. So,
sweet.
Yeah.
Excellent, man. Now,
go ahead.
No, this is for both of you, and this is something I'm always kind of curious about. Like, as younger men, what were the movies or pieces of work that kind of got you into the business, that inspired you?
Brendan, you go.
Ooh. It sounds like trite, but Star Wars,
There's nothing wrong with Star Wars, man.
No,
that's a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
I think I was 4 years old when I saw that thing or something, and it's just so magical, and it really did take me to space, and that's where I wanted to be. And found out in movies you can do that. It's kind of really simple answer like that, I think.
Yeah. For me, I think I was like obsessed with movies. I think like when I was from the time I was really, really young, like maybe every year, every summer, there'd be like one movie, and it was probably me and a million other kids, because there was toys, and there was, there was always one movie that sort of defined that year of my life. I can remember a year when Terminator 2 came out. Literally, it's that thing where every single day after school, it goes in the VCR, and every day you watch it. When you're at that age, you can just, just do that over and over and over again. And then, believe it or not, the movie that like I saw in high school that just like knocked me on my butt, it made me think, I want to actually do this. I think I want to like make movies as a career, was Scream. That movie was like, it just killed me. I just thought, it was so fun and funny and scary and cool, and really, really, really good whodunit, clever. And it just had everything. It had everything for like a 14 or 15-year-old or whatever I was in high school, that made me, that was already wanting to make movies and playing around with the home camera and making little skits and, funny things like that, to realize like, oh, I want to try making a horror movie. And me and my friends got together and did that. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to film school, yeah, it had a big impact on me, that movie.
Nice. Now, just to start putting a bow on this, because I think the thing I love about Welcome to Happiness the most is that it's actually tackling some real world, some real psychological issues, some real things that people can go through in their lives on a wide variety of sort of topics. But when it ends up as happy, it almost seems like it's harder for people to accept. People are used to accepting a little bit more cynicism on screen when dealing with issues like this, as opposed to sort of happiness. And I'm kind of curious, from both your perspectives, why is happiness a little more harder to process when it's being taken seriously, as opposed to sort of being taken in a sort of silly or goofy way on the screen?
I think Nick Lowe and Elvis Costello said it best. What's so funny about peace, love, and understanding? That is the most profound song title, and then, refrain for a song. There is so much cynicism, and it's so, I don't know, it's pervasive. And they ask that question, like, peace, love, and understanding. Why does that make you roll your eyes? That should be the thing that, that we all agree on, like that we want,
aspire to.
Yeah. And instead it seems to evoke cynicism and eye rolling in people. So I don't know. What do you think, Brendan?
That's a great sentiment. I think sincerity is difficult, especially this day and age, our generation, maybe the generations below us. Sincerity is very difficult, and it's easier to deflect and project than introspect, I guess. And so I think like this is the kind of movie, maybe it's not for everyone all the time, but it's for some people at particular moments, and it hits them just right.
Well, sincerely, boys, thank you for making a beautiful little movie that, hit me in the right spot at the right time. And just, I hope a lot of people think the same way when, they get to see it again. It's one of those things where I appreciate just sort of a nice warm sentiment, but still dealing with something actual, as opposed to sort of overly polished or fake or Hollywood. This felt very genuine and very honest from a real place, and I loved it.
That's what I was talking about. Thank you. I can't tell you how humbling that is. It means the world to hear you say that. So thank you so much.
Yes.
Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, guys. And thank you again for the time today.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Very much.
Bye, guys. And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.